Today, I want to show you all the really easy and neat features that have been added to Adobe Camera Raw, especially related to enhancing an image. And they are so easy. They are just click and they do their presets. So you click on it, it modifies your image. And I want to show you not only how easy, but some of the ones that are more proficient and easy to use than others, but they're all very easy. So I want to show that. And in addition, I would say that I think Adobe is moving ahead in a lot of ways, compete with some of the other packages that are out in the market right now. For example, Luminar. Luminar was the first to have sky replacements. And shortly after that, Adobe updated Photoshop to have sky replacement. And I'm going to do one of those today. The other aspect is that Luminar has added some other features that I think are really very good. And they are all now click on this, click a preset, and it modifies your image. And then you can do changes to the sliders. Topaz has been doing that for a number of years now. Almost everything in Topaz, it has presets, and you just run your cursor down the presets and it changes the image. You can see which one you want to use. Photoshop is getting there. I'll show you some of that in Adobe Camera Raw today. And I just watched a really good video presentation on Silver Effects Pro. So the coming classes will be related to black and white. And Silver Effects Pro is one of my favorite packages to use for black and white images. Silver Effects Pro 2 is the one I use primarily, and it's owned by DxO now. So I will demonstrate some of those, and I will make that recording available to everyone. They will be putting it out so that I can get my hands on it. So next couple classes will be related to black and white. One of the things I know about black and white, because I spent 10 years doing black and white in the darkroom, is it is not just a simple conversion from color to black and white, because tones tend to merge if they are similar in tones. You could have a green and a blue of the same tone, and when it's turned to a black and white, they merge together. Also, I know that a lot of people who have just gotten into black and white tend to not understand the aspect of contrast. So I'll go into those things and make some videos available for you. But today, I want to show you some really interesting and easy features about Adobe Camera Raw. There are two ways to get into Adobe Camera Raw, and the one that I use primarily now is to open the image first into Photoshop and then take it into Adobe Camera Raw by going up to Filter. I'll show that to you, and Camera Raw Filter. That takes it back into Camera Raw. You can go directly from Bridge into Camera Raw. I'll show that to you. But first, let me start with this image to give you an idea how easy these presets are. I shot this, excuse me, in Canyon de Chelly. This is on one of my workshops there. And I've said this before to a lot of people, especially on the workshops, don't just crop very tightly when you're shooting. Leave a little bit more room so that later you can crop the image the way you want. When we shot film, we tended to certainly do all of our cropping in the viewfinder and then get the shot. If you notice that at the top, I allowed a little bit more of the sky, knowing that I may and probably would crop that out, and I will. So let me first start with cropping the upper part of the image because that sky is distracting. So I would do that first. Just enough to remove that. Now, this is the image I will take into Adobe Camera Raw. Up to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. Here it is as shot. This is not my image, but it is an image is right out of the camera. Back over to the right-hand side where it says white balance. Again, just do the little drop down and say auto. That doesn't do a whole lot. back to as shot, come up to where it says color, to the little squares, click that, and I'll come down to artistic. Now, when I run my cursor over the various presets, you see the changes that can be made just by clicking on that.
We're not seeing that.
We don't see, no
You know,
presets.
the color change, no?
No, artistic, now it opened.
Yep, just came up.
Okay. And I have my cursor on artistic 04.
Yes, we can see
Okay.
it.
Yep.
Now I'll go to 3. Don't
Yes.
like that color.
No.
Come back to 4. You see it has that nice color in the grasses in the foreground. The sky is looking a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I come up to artistic 02. It doesn't have the same impact as artistic 04. Down to artistic 05. That looks very nice. I'll compare that to artistic 04. You see the difference in the sky there to here. So that artistic 05 looks really good. Come down to artistic 7, that makes it sort of yellow. But the point is, you have just a point and click, and you can change it. Now, change artistic to modern. Can you see the modern now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Modern 1, modern 3, modern 2, 4, 5.
John, it's
6.
not changing
Not
the view
changing.
going.
Okay.
John, your internet link is slow.
It must
And
be that. Yes.
So therefore, everything is only showing later than when you say it. So give it some
Okay.
time.
All
There's a
right.
lag.
Good. Thank you.
So John, how is this different from whatchamacallit, from
Lightroom,
Topaz.
Topaz is very similar.
very
Yeah.
similar. Very
Yeah.
similar. I didn't want to get into another package they have to buy. I just wanted to show you already that Adobe is trying to come equal to some of those other
Okay.
packages that are on the market. So
Okay.
now you have this as part of Photoshop. I will
That is-
do some presentations at some point on Topaz because I use it a lot and I'm an affiliate with Topaz. But I think that Photoshop has put some of this stuff together for you. And I'm sure that they will increase this. So I have it now on Modern 07. That brings the sky back in more. It has color in the foreground and the grasses. I will close Modern and come down to Vintage and wait for it to come to your screen.
Was this the latest download that we just latest update?
Yes.
Okay.
02, Vintage 02. No, that's rather flat. Vintage 04. Vintage 06. I should wait a little longer for these. Vintage 08. Not so good. Vintage
What?
07 is more interesting, but come back to Vintage 01. That looks pretty good. If I click on that and then go back, see up at the top where it has a little arrow pointing to the left and says back. If I click on that, it brings me back into Adobe Camera Raw with that change that I selected. And I now can use all the sliders that I have in Adobe Camera Raw to do the things I would do normally anyway. But it has given me a good base already from where it was initially. So I would, on this one, come down to dehaze and move that to the right a little bit, which will bring out more drama in the sky. So I move that to a plus 25. The shadows look very good overall. I may take the shadow slider, that's usually the next slider I go to open up just a little bit more detail in the shadows. And that's just a training that I had from John Sexton, who was Ansel Adams' assistant, because Ansel always insisted on having detail and shadow areas where the eye of the mind expects to see detail. And detail in the highlights. So I'll bring down the highlights just a little bit because there's some up there that if you look at the histogram at the top of the screen, you'll see that it's not touching the right-hand side, so I don't have any blowouts. I'm not touching the left side, so nothing's pure black. And I've adjusted this image. I'll use the clarity slider just to sharpen it up a little bit more. So very simple sliders, and you have these extra presets that are up in the top right-hand corner that you can click on. So I can't take this back into Photoshop or you won't see my screen. So let me go back to, I just clicked on the word auto at the top of the screen and it brought even more beauty to the image. In this case, if you look down at the sliders, they have been moved automatically based on that preset that I used and the auto button. Now, again, here for me, the shadows are a little too dark, so I would open those up a little bit with the shadow slider and bring more drama to the sky with the dehaze, just slightly. Now, for me, this image is very close to being finished, except that I would take it into Photoshop, which I can't do or you won't see it. I'll have to think of a way to be able to show you those things. Maybe a dual, I don't know.
Selective brush?
Pardon?
Could you use a selective brush to do it? In here? Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
There you go.
yes. See, that's way too dark, so I would want to readjust that. But before we go into doing anything with that brush, over here on that upper right-hand side, the three little dots at the bottom, if you click those, you can say reset to the open. So I can go backwards to how it was opened. There it is there. And apply previous settings. Didn't do anything there. Above that, there's some really interesting capabilities here. You see those two little circles that are above those three dots. When I click on that, it opens up another series of presets: color, bright, high contrast and detail, vivid, matte. And underneath are more creative ones: desaturated contrast, cool light, turquoise and red, soft mist, vintage, warm contrast. So you have a number of ways that you can change this image with a preset. And again, as was pointed out, it is a similar, very similar, identical to what has been added in Topaz and some of the other packages that are on the market. And you can come down to defaults or curves, and you can work on other aspects of the image. But I think this little area on the right-hand side is very creative for images.
John, excuse me, can you do a sky replace?
Not in Adobe Camera Raw, but I
Not in
certainly
Camera.
can do it in Photoshop.
Photoshop, yeah.
John, is this affecting the raw file or is this creating a layer?
No, when you take it into Adobe Camera Raw, you are working on the raw file and you can save it as a raw file back. That's not my procedure. My procedure is to keep my raw files very pristine. So I would bring it into Adobe Camera Raw, make the changes, and save it as a TIFF, or take it into Photoshop from there to do more things and then save it as a TIFF, so that my raw files are always the way I shot them. That's just my approach. Many others, yeah.
Luminar, is Luminar creating a mask, or is it affecting the raw file.
It affects the raw file.
Okay.
Let me take you into Photoshop. I hope.
Yeah, but John, on that, the aluminum, doesn't it create another file like a TIFF file?
It does. It creates you're right. It creates a separate file with those changes. It doesn't override your raw file. Correct. I wanted to do a little change with, I can open this. See the bird?
Not yet.
Mhm. Yep,
Now I do.
Okay. Yes?
Yes.
got it.
Okay, when I see this, I think, yes, all right. First thing is I would want to crop it because it's too much space in front of the bird.
Hmm.
So I'll crop that in a little bit to change that, and you'll see the difference of how your eye comes into it, stays right on that bird just by cropping a little bit. From there,
Okay.
see here. Now, up at Edit, Sky Replacement, come down to Sky Replacement,
Okay, good.
and it brings up all the sky replacements, and there are a number of clouds, and I've sent out clouds to you, but this one was the one I used last, so it just has it there, and it brought it in, and look what it did just by that being there. If I click on the little down arrow next to it, I get all the other skies that are available that I can use with this image, and there's the one highlighted that I have now. If I wanted to see another one, I'll click on it. Can you see that it changed the sky?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let me come back to that one that I had selected because I think that's really the better one for this image. At least I like it a little better. And then if you want to minimize this, and so I'll just click in this empty space at the upper right and allows me to see the sliders. The sliders say sky adjustment. I can adjust the sky to brighten it or darken it a little bit so that the bird stands out more. I can change the temperature from bluer to a little more warmer. I liked it a little bluer. And down at the bottom, foreground, leave it on multiply. Light adjustment, that means it's talking about the bird in this case because that's the foreground. So if I wanted to lighten up the bird a little bit, I just bring it to the right. And color adjustment, I'd like more color in the bird. So if I bring that up some, the bird gets more saturated. That's how easy it is to use the sky, and especially on an image like this. And at the bottom, you want it to say output to new layers. And the reason you want that is, I'll show you. If I click OK, can you see my layers palette on the right?
Yes.
You see it has now added a lot of layers.
Right.
And one of them is the sky, and it's labeled sky. So it has right above it an adjustment layer that is clipped to the sky. So I can change the sky now by clicking on that layer and changing it. Or I can come down to the background layer, which is just the bird. And it has the foreground color aspect there. But if I wanted to add even more color, the foreground layer, I come down to the bottom, click the little circle, half black, half white, and come up to hue saturation. And it puts another layer just above the bird. And I'll just saturate the bird just a little bit more. And if I wanted to darken that sky now, again, click on the sky layer to select it. I'm down to get levels and move the middle slider to the right a little bit and the right slider back to the left. brings up brightness. So let's look at the history of how this image looks now from open. Here's the open. There's final. I will do one more thing to this. Where is the brightest area of the bird? It's on the bird's body, and the head is darker. I would want it to be the reverse. So I'll get the dodge tool on highlights at the top, lower the exposure to maybe 18%. I need to be on a pixel layer, so I go back down to the background layer where the pixels are for the bird. And I've said a number of times, if you try doing something and it's not working, make sure you still have the same tool. Make sure the options bar is correct and look to see if you're on the layer with the pixels. And 9 times out of 10, it will be you're on the wrong layer, which what I was. I was on one of the adjustment layers, and I can't use a dodge tool, and it must be used on a pixel layer. So now I have it on highlights. I'll make the brush just a little bigger and brighten up the head just to bring the eye to the head, and darken the body just a little bit, because I want to control where the users or the viewer, where is the viewer's eye going on this image? And I can see I could do a little bit more highlight on the bird's head. So we go back in history, open to where we are. What a difference.
I don't see the open.
Ah, you didn't see it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Let me bring that back.
Oops. Yeah,
Here was the open.
yeah.
You could see the difference of what we did. I've closed the other part. I have to remember it's a slower response. Sorry.
It's about a 5-second delay between when you say you're doing and when we see.
Okay.
Join the party, John. Join the party.
I'm suffering with you, sir.
Yes. Terrible.
Okay, copy the pin.
Okay.
John, dumb question. Why
Yes.
do they call those photos vintage? Do they mean back to when we took film?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought I'd check.
Okay. Can you see the plane?
No,
Nope. Yep, bottom left.
yep, we got a plane.
Okay. Let's try changing the sky on this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's working.
Yep.
See it?
Yep.
And all I did was to go to Edit, Sky Replacement, and I have all of these cloud formations that I can use. Actually, I like this one again with it, but I'll do the drop down,
Right.
scroll down to various cloud formations. Try this one. That works, but not as good as the,
The first one was better.
yes. Let's try this one.
Yee.
That looks pretty good.
Didn't come in yet.
Okay.
It's in.
Now, I'd like a little more drama to the sky, so I'll click in the upper right-hand area where there isn't anything to be on, so I can clear the cloud selections. Come down to the brightness and move it to the left a little bit to darken the sky. Maybe change it to a warmer sky.
Not yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep.
click OK. Next week, I will get it where the connection is much faster.
Mm.
All right, I'm back in Photoshop. You okay with that?
We're back.
We're the,
All right. I will put a levels adjustment on this. Bring in the highlights a little bit more. It's on the plane now. The levels adjustment is above the pixel layer of the plane. So I'm adjusting the plane itself. And I just wanted it to be a little brighter to stand out from the background. I'll wait for you to catch up.
It changed now.
Okay, here's the open for this image.
Right.
See it?
Yep,
And here's where we are with it.
got it.
I would really take this into Adobe Camera Raw, but since to do a vignette, but since I can't do that, I'll click on the pixel layer, make my brush a little bigger, get the burn tool on 22%,
Mhm.
and just darken the corners just a little bit. Bring the eye into the center of the image.
Mhm.
And I'd like to bring out a little of the color in the clouds. So I could go to the sky layer, get an adjustment layer for hue saturation, and clip it to the sky, which it automatically did. It clipped it to the sky layer, and get the little hand back and forth, come over into the image with the eyedropper and click on that, which gives me a little bit of blues or yellows. What I really want is yellows, and it's not giving that to me. So I'll go over again to the properties panel and do the drop down and see if I can find yellows. So I have yellows selected. And if I move, as I move the saturation slider, it's really looking for just yellows in the image. And there are not very many in there, but as I've warmed it up some.
Just a line on the front right of the plane. It really brought that out.
Yes. All right, let's try. Can you see the final image here with the clouds? I hope. Yes?
Yes. I think we see
Okay.
it. There's yellow on the fuselage.
Yes.
It had a little bit of a trouble replacing the original sky around the propeller.
Yes, it did. And there's a way to adjust that, but I have to go into Adobe Camera Raw, and I don't know how to do that.
Enough said.
And still show you the image. All right. You see this building leaning?
No,
I'll wait.
Just
yeah,
came up.
we got it.
Okay.
We got it.
All right. Before I do some work on this image, one aspect that I am really against in an image is something I call it's neither in nor out.
Right.
And the tree limbs in the upper left corner are neither in nor out. And when that's the case, I think they should be out. So you either, when you're shooting it, allow more in there if you want that to be in that open space. But this is a bothersome way to me that I keep going there thinking, oh, it's not right. It's not in, it's not out right. Let me try to change this just a little bit. I'll make a selection around it. And if it doesn't work all at one time, I'll show you another way to use this tool. And fill with content aware. And it really did a good job of taking that out.
We don't have it yet.
All right, I'll wait.
There it is.
So I made a selection of it with the lasso tool,
Right.
then went to edit, fill, content aware, and it just matched everything in the sky.
Mhm.
Now, I am really bothered by buildings that slant. Just blows my mind, especially because I shot large format photography because I love architecture, and a large format camera let me adjust the film plane, the lens plane, swivel back and forth, so everything was lined up before I took the shot. Now we can go to select at the top, select all, so it selects the entire image.
Okay.
Edit, transform, and I'll use transform distort. Can you see the dancing ants around it and the little handles?
Yes, we see, and your cursor.
Okay. So I'll take the upper right handle and move it to the right till I line up that little tower to be a little bit straighter.
We're
I
not
may do,
getting the handles.
Yeah, there it is.
We just
It's
got
It's on delay, correct.
yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
You're about right.
And I'll take the left slider, left top, and move it to the left
Oh,
so that I can straighten the image. Now the right needs to be readjusted a little bit.
The left hasn't happened yet.
there it
All
is.
right, I'll wait.
We just got
It's
the
a-
left, we just got the left and right.
All right, good, thank you.
And a trapezoid.
Yes, and I'll explain why that happens. So I'm adjusting left and right as you'll see the final image. Got it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
On which command? That was edit and which command?
Edit, transform,
Got it.
and under transform, distort.
your line disappeared and your ants are there.
Do you,
Yeah, I've accepted it so that I've accepted the changes I make. Here's a problem. And the problem is that when I've straightened something that was this distorted, it made it a little squat compared to the original image. So I would want to change that. And it's very easy to change that by going up to image size, uncheck the connector between the height and the width, and change the height. Instead of it being 10.5, make it 12.
The image didn't open up yet.
Oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know how it's working.
No problem. This is about where Bonnie would say reboot Photoshop.
Yes, I'm reaching my patient limit also.
Geez, I'm sorry.
this is where I spend all my Saturdays.
So you now see the image size,
Yeah.
and I've changed the height to 12.
Yes.
Click OK. Now you
Yes.
see the image now, looks more
Yes.
realistic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Still, there's a little bit on the left that could be adjusted. That building's still slanted a little bit. So I would go back up, do select all, edit, transform, distort, and straighten that. But because of the delay, I'm not going to do all of that.
Do you prefer to use distort over perspective for this?
I do because distort gives me more handles. but it really is just a matter of what you get accustomed to. They both work really well. Okay, so I have now the sky, which doesn't look very good. But before I go to the sky level, I want to do an adjustment. I want to do an enhancement on the image itself. So I will come down to the bottom of the layers palette and brightness and contrast. Can you see my sliders on the right-hand side?
They just came in.
Okay. I want to just brighten it up a little bit and give it a little bit more contrast.
Not yet.
Okay.
Sliders just moved.
Yep.
Now I'll go to history so that you can see the difference.
Big difference.
Yeah, nice.
Back to the enhanced.
Yep. Now I come down to the pixel layer, which is the background layer, and go over to edit, sky replacement.
We don't have it yet. We have it now.
Okay. I will pick a different sky, but I want to show you that you see that the sky is sort of fading onto the building.
Right.
So if you come over to the right-hand side, you see there's a slider that says fade edge.
Right.
I move that to the left.
Now we have it.
I'll wait.
No.
We have it all now. It's all the way to the left, John.
Yes, it has adjusted that fairly well. Not entirely yet, but pretty good. And shift edge. You see, I've shifted it too much and some of the blue is coming through there. So you can play with that shift edge and how it then comes around the building. But this sky isn't really the one I want on there. So before I do a lot more, I'll click the little down arrow next to the image of the clouds and come down to a different one. We could play with an evening sky. See what that looks like.
We have it.
I'll wait.
It's in.
Got it.
Got it?
We have it, John.
Okay. Click the empty area to the upper right. Shift the edge even to the right a little bit so that it comes down around the building nicely. I'll fade the edge just a little bit and the building stands out very nice. So you play with those two strokes, those two sliders to adjust how that sky comes in around the building.
We just got the fade. Did you hear me?
No.
We just got the fade image.
Okay.
John, I have a question about the transform. The building is leaning a little bit back. If you look, right where the two parts of the building join and look up at the tower. And I've always had a problem with it. If you take a picture standing in front of a building, you've got parallax on the side, that sucker still is falling away.
Right.
What do you do?
I will show that to you in the next class because I need to be able to get into some other things. But it's a good question. And here, more so, let me suggest that when I'm in a situation like this where the building is that big and I know that there's going to be some distortion, I will do a panorama, a horizontal panorama vertically. So I would do a shot at the top of the building, and then one by the middle of the building, then one at the bottom of the building. And I then have really many more pixels when I combine that together, and I can straighten that building in all kinds of ways.
Did you say you would panorama vertically?
Yeah.
Well, yes, so think of a horizontal shot of just the upper third of this image. Then
Okay.
you bring it down to the middle third of the image, overlapping with the upper one, take a shot, and then come down to the bottom. So it's 3 horizontal shots shot vertically. They're brought down vertically.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I want to darken the sky a little bit. So let me just change the brightness of here. So while we're at this image.
Hasn't moved yet.
Yep, I'll wait.
We have it now.
Okay. And at the bottom, the sliders at the bottom, as you can see, are for the foreground adjustment. So I can lighten up the adjustment just a little bit more, see what that does.
We don't have it yet.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
I think we have it now, but I don't think it, I think it was too subtle.
Yeah, it didn't do a lot. Let me try it a little bit more. So you need to play with these sliders. And I will move the color adjustment to the right also to see what happens. But even more so, when I'm finished, I'll explain more how we can adjust these. But look at the image now compared to where we started. That looks really very nice. Again, remember that output are to new layers. So I'll click OK.
We have the layers.
See the layers?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the bottom layer is separate as the building itself, and it's separate from the sky. So I can click on the bottom one and get a levels adjustment. And it will affect only the bottom layer. I move the right-hand slider in. I can brighten that building as much as I want to brighten it in relation to how I think the light is coming in.
We have it.
Okay, and the sky is on a separate layer. So I can, actually, there's a layer above it. And if I click on that little icon, its brightness and contrast, I can brighten the sky just a little bit or darken it just a little bit with that. I think I can't mess with that very much. But let's look at now from where it was. Open.
We have history.
See the way it was open?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We have it.
And there's where we are.
We have
Great.
it.
Yeah, great improvement.
Now, I will do this just to show a little bit of what's going on. This building in the background still bothers me being somewhat slanted. So I would go up to select all, edit.
We don't have select all yet.
Okay.
We have select all.
Okay, and I'll select the background layer, because that's where the pixels are for the building. To edit, transform, and I will again use distort, but I want to show you what I would do with this is just to grab the lower left and bring it down, which will straighten that building in the background, makes it more level. And you'll say, well, John, look, I'll wait for you to catch up. Because here's the issue you face here. With all these extra layers, it's moving the pixels of the building that's not moving the pixels of the sky. So you can't do it that way. So you want to be sure you do all of your straightening before you start to add other pixel layers above it that are dependent on the structure of the image. The only other way around this, which is okay, you can select all of the layers. So if I click on the first one, click on the last one, and Control Alt Shift E.
We don't have it yet.
No. Now, it didn't do it.
We have it. John, we have it.
Okay. Now I can select, edit, transform, distort. I will pull the lower left corner down. See, that straightens that back building a little bit. I think I still will take the upper left. I'll wait for you to catch up and move that to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
We're caught up.
Select, deselect. Get rid of the dancing ants.
Hmm.
So what a difference. Look them all the way back again. Just look at it from the time that we opened it.
We still have the ants. They're just left.
There you go. That's the open. Yep.
Quite a difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would, like, I must say, let your image sit for a day and come back and look at it and decide what else you want to do. As I'm looking at this, I want to just darken that upper sky just a little bit to bring the eye back down in. One of the things that Ansel talked about a lot in his images was what he calls dark, or I call it dark light, dark light. He never talked about it that way, but the foreground being a little darker, the center of the image being a little lighter, some other darker area, then a lighter, and then the dark at the top brings the viewer's eye down into the image. So I did some burning, just not well done, but I did some just to show you how it looks. So here it is. Notice the upper part of the sky is very light. The foreground grass is light. Now, if I darken those two areas, see how much more you are looking into the building. These are subtleties that I think are very important to having, controlling the viewer's eye.
John, a question. On the distort, we move in 2 dimensions, left, right, up, and down. Is there a way to distort pulling it forwards or backwards, like a turret or something?
Yes, I'll go into that one of the next classes, because I need to figure out how to show you some of these things. Yes, I'll show you some.
Very good.
But boy, what we have done to this image.
Yeah. Very,
Terrific.
We don't have, we still have the save screen.
Okay.
I might have used a creepy sky though, making it look more like Harry Potter. This looks too great.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know how to Photoshop. We caught up, John.
All right. I'm going to bring another image in because I think there's some interesting things that could be done. It's quite a striking image as it is. You see the flower?
Yes.
Okay. Simple things. I'm trying to go through the things that are fairly easy to use and yet make a big difference in giving impact to the image. This image has impact as it is. But if you go to filter and filter gallery, now you have a bunch of things that you can do, presets again. I'm thinking of always about presets to change the image and how it looks. So this one is over here on the right. Can you see my screen that shows
Yeah.
the various features? Yes.
Yes.
This one is sponge. Very interesting. You see this here, it has a black area around it. That means that's the one it's selected. You can click on any one of these. I'll click on poster images.
Poster.
Look at that too.
We have poster.
Yeah.
Paint daubs.
We don't have it yet.
Okay.
It's there.
Plastic wrap. I don't like that, but I'll show it to you.
We have it.
Could you click on watercolor, John? I like
I
to use
just clicked on it now.
Oh, that's what I say. Brilliant minds.
It looks really nice as
Yeah.
watercolor.
Yeah.
How easy this is to create a whole different presentation by just clicking on something. Now, all of these ones that are here are all part of one aspect of the screen. You can come down to brush strokes, and there are other ones. Pick. I don't like these as much, but I'll click on one of them just to show you how easy it is to do it. Of course, you just click that and it has that one. And over on the right-hand side, you can change the effect of that filter by changing these sliders. The stroke length could be less, the spray brush,
Sliders have.
radius, spray radius, a little brighter, and it could changes the whole look to the image. So you can play with how the image is being presented and then pick on some of these others. Come down to sketch. That one's not very neat. That one, I don't think sketch is working for this image at all, but I wanted to say that there are other extras.
No.
One of the groupings that I like is texture. And in texture, one is called texture in the lower right-hand corner. So if I click on that, it looks as though it was printed on canvas. And I can change the sliders to increase or decrease the amount of that effect, the scaling of it, bigger, smaller. And there's a drop down. So say canvas, burlap.
Oh, wow.
See the burlap?
Oh, my.
Yep.
Brick. Sandstone. I like sandstone a lot.
Oh.
So if I click OK,
Yeah.
I'll go back to the open. Very nice to begin with.
And those were just in your filters, John?
In the filters, yes. Go up to filter, filter gallery. If it ever turns out that filter gallery is grayed out, filter gallery at times may operate only on a certain size image. So you go up to, if it does, I don't think you'll run into this, but if you go up to image mode, you see it's set at 8 bits. Sometimes if it's 16 bits or 32 bits, the filter may not have been updated yet to handle that level. Let me try 16 bits and see if it will do it. Go to, you see filter gallery is grayed out now. So if that happens to you, go up to image, mode, and change your image to 8 bits. Do the filter, and then you can change it back to 16 bits. And why would you do that? Well, when you are doing other adjustments, if you are doing other adjustments to the image, it's better to do it at the 16-bit level or the 32-bit level because it's handling the pixels a lot better than at the 8-bit. But they haven't updated all of their filters yet to get to the level of that. So you just change it. You go up to image, mode, 8-bit, and now you go over to the filter and you see there's filter gallery again.
How would you define bit, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit?
In the computer, the logic of the computer, I happen to be I was a computer programmer when I graduated from school, college, and then I got really into computers. Everything inside the software is made up of what's called 8 bits that represents how it is stored on the hard drive. Everything that's in there is made up of something called 8 bits. So it's nothing more than how all the the pixel is made up of individual elements. I don't know how I was to explain that they call bits, pixels.
Mhm.
It's just part of the software that all software is driven that way.
It's to my,
So do you think you can do some enhancements to your images that aren't real complex here and still come out with some really interesting?